Hi everyone, today we're going to make marinated chicken wings, oh yum, and we're going to learn how to make scallion pancakes. So they're a beautiful flaky pastry. We're going to show you how to roll it up, turn it around and roll it out to get that beautiful layered texture that the pancakes have. So let's get into it, let's get cooking.
Fantastic. All right then, so this recipe, scallion pancakes, let's read out the ingredients for those first. Prep time is 20 minutes, cook time is about 10 minutes, total time, I don't think 20 and 10 equals 20, but it's probably a half-hour process. Great. All right, so you're going to need some plain flour, some salt, some water, some shallots, spring onions, whatever you want to call them. You'll need some spray oil, which is gone MIA, no, and you'll need some vegetable or canola oil. You can use coconut oil if you want to do that. Dipping sauce, you'll just need some soy sauce, some white vinegar. Who's got black vinegar? I don't anyway. You might have black vinegar, but we've just got white vinegar. And if you want to add some chili, you can add some chili paste to it. Great. And chicken wings. You'll need some chicken wings. Chicken wings, we'll need chicken wings. You need some soy sauce. You need some honey. You need some sesame oil. You need some fresh garlic. You need some honey, extra honey. And if you want to, you can have some sesame seeds. My sesame seeds behind me. Fantastic. And some lemon wedges to serve. Beautiful. All right, so this is what we're going to do. We're going to start with our scallion pancake dough because we need to rest it. Then we'll make our marinade for our chicken wings, and then we'll go back to our scallion pancakes. Now, believe it or not, I actually have left my flour in another room. So give me 30 seconds. I'll just check to see if anyone's, no, great. Right, I'm just going to grab my flour. Great, so let's start with that. Okay, so the first thing that we're going to do is you're going to measure out 2.5 cups of plain flour. 2.5 cups of plain flour. So make sure that you get a level measure so we get that right. Two and a half cups of plain flour. So don't put your flour away because you'll need it for when we roll things out. Great, and you'll need 1 teaspoon of salt. 1 teaspoon of salt. Just sprinkle that across, don't just dump it. And the reason we sprinkle is so that it doesn't end up in one specific spot in a pocket. So we sprinkle it across the top. Beautiful. And then you'll need 1 cup of water. 1 cup of water. Now, I suggest that you use lukewarm water because then it takes on the flour better. So just coming out of the tap, 1 cup. And you can pour that straight into your dough mixture. And we're going to start just mixing that together. So you'll start with your wooden spoon or your spatula. Dough will start to get raggy or like little rags of dough. So I use my spoon for as long as I can. Until it comes together. You can see that my dough is coming together and starting to take up the extra flour at the side of the bowl. Great. But then it comes a point where you'll need to start kneading it. So flour your hands. Flour your hands so that you create a layer of flour between your hand and the dough, and that is going to cause that, well, it's not going to cause your dough to be sticky. So you're just dusting your hands with some flour, or I would say washing your hands with some flour, and then we're going to just start kneading the dough until it comes together into a full dough. If it's really sticky, sprinkle it with some more flour. We want it to be a soft dough. No, it's not a firm dough. Who got the disco outside at my place? I'm not sure who's got the music going, but one of my family. Just for 1 minute, we don't want to over knead it. We're not developing the gluten, we're not developing the yeast or anything like that. So the recipe says knead for 1 minute or in the bowl. Oh, sorry, either in the bowl or on a flour dusted surface. And then once that 1 minute is up, so it's not like smooth dough. It's not like a beautiful pizza dough that is beautiful and smooth. Mine is like it's come together in a lump. You can see that it's come together in a lump. Yep, that's great, Alana. That's great. Yep. And then once you do that, we're going to get some cling wrap. Get some cling wrap and just cover your dough with some cling wrap. And I'm putting the cling wrap right on top of my dough because I don't want it to dry out and get crispy bits. We're only going to leave it for 10 minutes, but great. Double check. No. So put your cling wrap right on top of your dough. If you want to wrap it, you can do that. Beautiful. And then you can just put it to the side so that it's off your workspace, and just go and wash your hands. Now the recipe says to preheat the oven, but we're not going to do that yet because your chicken wings are only going to take about half an hour to cook. So I suggest, and we need some marinating time as well. So I suggest if you want to eat at 6 p.m, that you put your oven on about 20 past 5. So just that gives 10 minutes for your oven to get to the right temperature, and then you can cook it for the half hour. So it does say preheat, but that's my explanation of why we're not going to do that. All right, so let's make our marinade first. I haven't cut my chicken up yet, so we're going to make the marinade and then we'll do the chicken. So in terms of the marinade, first thing we're going to do is 4 tablespoons of soy sauce. 4 tablespoons of soy sauce. All right, so 4 tablespoons of soy sauce. Now, I don't measure over the bowl, as you will know, just in case I end up spilling things. So nice and slowly. So 4 tablespoons of soy sauce and 2 tablespoons of ketchup mayonnaise. if you've got it. So it's a thicker, sweeter sauce than soy sauce. Is quite thin, but ketchup mayonnaise is a little bit more like oyster sauce. It's kind of halfway between both of those. I haven't got a lot left, so I'm going to put mine. So you've got 2 tablespoons of your ketchup mayonnaise. Beautiful. Everything. Once you've done your ketchup mayonnaise, you're going to use 2 tablespoons of honey. 2 tablespoons of honey. And that gives us the stickiness and the sweetness. Beautiful. And then half a tablespoon of sesame oil. Half a tablespoon of sesame oil. And smell the sesame oil because it's really an unusual sort of flavour. And only a little bit of smell, sorry, only a little bit of flavour goes a really long way. So whenever you're making a marinade, make sure that you smell all the different elements of it. And then you want 2 cloves of fresh garlic. 2 cloves of fresh garlic. I'm going to use my grater, my little mini grater. And that brings out all of the beautiful flavours of your garlic. Oh, yum, that smells amazing. So 2 cloves of garlic, or if you're using minced garlic, you can just use 1 heaped teaspoon. And then once you've done that, just give it a nice little stir with a spoon or a fork. Just to get, you've got that sticky honey. Want those flavours to sort of incorporate together. Beautiful. Then you can just put that to the side. Okay, fantastic. So if you have already chopped up your chicken, you can put your chicken straight into your marinade. So for me, I haven't done my chicken, so I'm going to cut my chicken up. I've got a nice big knife and I'm going to find the joint of the chicken. So, and this is one of those things that, one of those skills that you just really have to develop as you go along. Now, some people love the little wingettes. Some people don't use them at all. We probably don't use it at all, but whatever your family does. And what I'm doing with my knife is finding the little joint and pushing down. You'll need a really strong knife for this. And if you need help, just ask somebody. All right, now your chicken does need to be fairly dry so it will take on the marinade. So just work your way through your chicken. Some people like to break their chicken. I can't be bothered with that, but that will help you find where the joint of the chicken is. So don't rush this bit, just take your time. All greasy, just go and wash it. Once it's done, you can then start tossing it. Now, if you want to use disposable gloves to do this, or if you want to use a pair of tongs, I just find that it's better to, this is the way I do it. I'm just tossing it with my hands, then I can make sure all of the chicken is covered with the marinade. Doesn't take long, like I think that's it for me. Done. And then I'm going to go wash my hands for the 100th time. Once I've done that, I'm going to cover it with, I'm going to cover the bowl with some cling wrap and just pop that into the fridge. And then you'll need to wash your, you'll need to wash your knife, wash your board, and clean up any of your workspace if it's got chicken splashed on it. Bring back your dough, bring back the dough as they say, and I'm going to sprinkle my board with some flour. Sprinkle your board with some flour. Then we're going to cut the dough into two. So cut your dough into two and you'll find that it's softened. And then I'm putting the other piece, and I'm just wrapping it back into that cling wrap. All right, now, then I'm going to roll my rolling pin and I'm going to start rolling out the dough. And it says here 1.5 feet, which is quite like 50 centimeters. It's probably going to be quite a big, long piece of dough. So just do the best that you can do. Now, when I roll, I pick it up and then I turn it because we don't want the shape of Australia. We're ideally wanting to get a nice thin squarish shape. So it says roll out the dough thinly into a rectangle, should be 50 centimeters by approximately 20 centimeters. So that's quite a thin dough. The trick is going to be lifting it up and just making sure that you can keep moving it. So rolling it, lifting it, rolling it and lifting it. We definitely want it to be quite thin. So mine is going over the edge of my board, but if you're working directly on your workbench, that will be fantastic. And it should be fairly easy to work with. Right. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to spray mine just with some canola oil. But if you want to paint it with some vegetable oil, you can do that. So I've just quickly sprayed it. I'll just wait. Just wait. All right. Excellent. Then what I'm going to do, see, I've got a fairly, that's sort of my short side and this is my long side. So what we want to do is we want to start rolling up our dough into it. So the long side, it doesn't have to look fancy. We're just going to roll it up into like a coil. No, not a coil, just we're rolling it up like this. So at this stage, we're at step 5. We're rolling it up. And then what we're going to do is you're going to coil it up like a snail. And then bring it back to the center. And then we repeat the process. So we're going to press it down with our hand. So you can already see that you've got that layer inside. Then we've coiled it. So we've got a layer there. And then we're going to start it again. So sprinkle your board again with some flour. And if your rolling pin needs some flour as well. And then we're going to do exactly what we did just then. We're going to start rolling it out. You might find you'll start to see cute little air pockets. This is good. And same thing again, double check. Oops, yep, that's why. Double check that you've got enough flour underneath your little dough. How cute, I'm loving it. So rolling it and turn it when you can. I'm just checking mine again, just making sure that it's the knife is in a very need of sharpening. So I've sprayed my roll again and I've scattered my scallions across the top. And the recipe says a pinch of salt. So if you want to sprinkle some salt across the top as well. Oh, they smell amazing. Yum. Great. Pinch. And then we're going to do the same thing. We're going to roll it up. Now, if I'm going too fast, let me know. So we've sprayed it, sprinkled our scallions or our spring onions, as we say. And then I'm going to do the same thing. We're going to roll up our dough. Okay. Roll it up. And then chop it in half. Mine is sort of a funny shape. I'm not going to lie to you. And then we're going to coil each half individually. Okay, fantastic. All right, so step 8, cut the roll in half, done, and coil each roll, done. All right, and then you repeat with the other piece of dough, but I'll leave you guys to do that yourselves. And then flatten each coil and roll it out. So I'm just going to pop that guy there. I'm going to sprinkle some more flour on top. And we're going to roll it out again. So you can see that you've got all these beautiful layers of air and pastry and flavour. So when I'm rolling mine out, I've got like tiny little air bubbles popping up. Has anyone else got that? Great, fantastic. So now we do want them to be fairly thin. You don't want a big thick pancake. You want it to be fairly thin. So it says about 1/2 centimetre. So so pretty. Fantastic. All right, so I've got this guy here ready to roll, and I've got this guy ready to roll. All right, now I've got my baking tray. I always put a layer of baking paper on the bottom. And the reason I do that, it's just so much easier to clean. Great, I'm going to grab my chicken wings. I'm going to use tongs because it's manky. And we want the skin side up. Skin side up. And I don't necessarily want to I don't want to pour my mixture into the baking dish because for this recipe, we're going to use the marinade and cook it so we can serve it separately. Not separately, but we're going to pour it on later. And that means that we're not going to boil the chicken in the juice. You'll be able to get a beautiful crispy skin from this. And you'll find that the bottom bits of chicken will be sort of darker than the others. Now, don't throw this guy out. We're just going to leave it at the side. Remember, it's had raw chicken in it, so we don't want to have our fingers in there or anything. All right, so step 5 on this says, arrange the chicken wings skin side up, done, into an oven tray lined with baking paper. And then you can drizzle a little extra honey over the top if you want. And then you're going to cook until they're golden brown, about 25 minutes. 25 minutes. So if you want to drizzle, I might just get a little bit, because the sugar in the honey is going to, oh, so good. I'm just drizzling that. It's going to get sticky and golden. Beautiful. I just used 1/2 tablespoon. Beautiful. You don't need to cover it. You don't want to cover it. In fact, because we want it to get roasted and golden. So I'm going to pop it into the oven for 25 minutes. Now I'm just going to read you this part of the recipe. The recipe says, step 6, while the wings are in the oven, pour the remaining marinade into a small saucepan and bring to the boil for 5 minutes. That cooks all the chicken properly and creates a little bit more of a drizzle. So to serve, pour the honey sauce over the wings and sprinkle with sesame seeds. So this guy here. I'm just going to pour the extra marinade into my saucepan, and I'm just going to pop that on a really low heat for the moment onto my stove. The only reason it's on a low heat is because we've got 25 minutes before we need it. Oops, daisy. All right. I'm going to show you guys how to make the pancakes. I mean, it's ridiculously easy, but we'll just do that. All right. So step 11, I've got my pancake there. I've got my saucepan here. If you want them hot, you can cook them and then wrap them in foil and then serve them with dinner. Or if you want to cook them and serve them straight away, don't start cooking them until about 10 to 6. All right, here we go. So it says heat 1 tablespoon of oil in your pan. And like any pancake, the first one is always going to be your test one. So I'm going to pop it in there. I don't think mine is hot enough, but we'll see. Because it says pan fry for 1.5 minutes on the first side, then 1 minute on the other side. These are cute, hey? How cute. Great. I've got my handy dandy egg flipper. And then you've got, if you want to make a dipping sauce, we've got our soy sauce, vinegar, and some chili. All right, so my sauce at the back there is just come to a boil. Oh, it smells amazing. And I just want to boil it for 5 minutes. So I'm looking at my clock. Perfect. So the priority is probably rolling out your pancakes till they're all done. And if you need to, you can separate them with some baking paper. So if you want to put them on a plate, put some baking paper between them and sprinkle the baking paper with a little bit of flour. So the recipe says equal parts soy sauce and black vinegar. Look, I don't know what black vinegar is. I don't use it at our house, so I'm just going to do some soy sauce, a couple of drops of sesame oil, and you could put some sweet chili sauce in it if you wanted to. Oh, girls, look at that. Oh my gosh. You look like a pizza master there, Alana. So I've turned it over, and as I've turned it over, I can see the air bubbles inside starting to cook. Oh, come on. So good. But I'm pressing it down because we want it to be evenly cooked. And as it starts to puff up, you can get parts of it that miss. So I'm just holding it down with my... We don't want raw dough. So I'm holding it. Oops, I can smell that's too much. Yeah. I'm going to turn it. So I've got to turn it down again. Again, you know your own pan. I just think it's fun watching all the air bubbles sort of as you hold it down in one section, it puffs up in another section, which is kind of cute. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. So fun. Grab a plate. All right, now like any sort of bread, I put it in either some alfoil or a clean, dry tea towel. And that will keep the steam in, keep it nice and soft rather than going hard. So and my sauce is, just see if this is going to work. All right, so I've got my sauce here and that's ready. That's boiling for 5 minutes. And that I'm just going to pour all over the chicken when it comes out of the oven. So the important thing is that you've cooked off the chicken juices. You need that to be boiled. Now mine rose up and got quite sticky because you've got the honey in there as well. So just watch that. I only had it on a really low heat, but it's still bubbled up because there's so much sticky sweetness in there. All right. I'll leave that there. I've got that there. And so my husband's the opposite. He says, I don't want to get a surprise. I don't want to go out to dinner and then eat something that I don't like. Here's a lasagna. Wow. Fabulous. So I've popped my pancakes just in a dry, clean tea towel just to keep them nice and warm and perfect.
So they'll be ready when my chicken